everybody, I'm Dr. Padmavati Tungaturti from TeachConnect. I'm a quality education specialist. I train teachers and mentor principals. CBSE has released sample question papers for the year 23-24. That's where the students would be taking the examination in 2024, February or March. The teachers must also be aligned and equipped with the skills of competency-based education and learning so that the teachers can teach the students and prepare the sample question papers or the pre-board papers, which they do as a routine. Let us take science for sample and understand how the questions are prepared. By the way, competency-based questions are those questions which have ABCD as its characters. A is the audience where the students will be taking the examination, that is the grade of the students who are taking the exam. And B is the behavior of the student. What's the student going to do? Looking at the question, will the student draw, write, compare, give a summary? What's the student expected to do? And now C is the content. Content is what is the question asked for. What is the content which the student is supposed to recollect? And D is the degree of accuracy where the student is expected to answer the question to the given question. The student must be knowing many things, but is he answering the question? That's very important, and that is checked there. Therefore, A, B, C, D are to be taken into consideration while preparing a competency-based question. I will share the screen for you all to analyze the sample question paper for science for the academic year 2023-24 so that we can discuss question by question as to how the question is prepared and what is that the student is supposed to focus. And this hand-holding will definitely help the teacher to prepare the students in future for the questions to be written or the questions to be answered or for the board examination. I will share my screen now. This is the CBSE website of which we have. This is the academic website. We have question bank as well as sample question paper in this 2024. This is only for grade 10, which I am going to analyze. The science is the first sample question paper, and I will also keep the answer and the marking scheme which is given. I will open this and let you know in case you would like to know or clarify. And in between, I can also clarify the answers to you, what I have discussed with you and how am I going to justify these answers. This is for sample question paper 2023. The subject code given is 086. There are 39 questions, but in this session, I will discuss only physics and chemistry questions. I may not be able to discuss biology as that is not my expertise. This is section A and not all the 3 sections. 5 sections are there, of which this is for section A, where 20 objective type questions carrying 1 mark. Now there are 4 options given. In these 4 options, children are supposed to attempt all the questions. See, there are 20 questions. Out of 20 questions, this completes section A. We will discuss only physics and chemistry question. Now, this is the first question. We see that there are 2 test tubes over here. One is test tube containing barium chloride. Another one is test tube containing sodium sulfate. Barium chloride. Identify the product which represents the solid state in the above reaction. Looking at the question, children shouldn't jump to the conclusion that it is barium sulfate. Of course, students have a previous knowledge of sodium chloride and barium sulfate are the products formed. But why Sodium chloride is not the product. Why is the right answer barium sulfate? This is the double decomposition reaction. Slowly we are building up the question and the content to be answered. The content is very similar and familiar to the student, that there is barium chloride plus sodium sulfate gives rise to a double decomposition reaction wherein we have barium sulfate and sodium chloride. We are supposed to identify the product. Barium chloride and sodium sulfate are not products, they are reactants. These are the distractors given here. Only barium sulfate and sodium chloride are the products. Therefore, sodium chloride is in the liquid form. Look at the question here. The solid state, barium sulfate alone is formed in the solid state. Sodium chloride is available in liquid state. The question is very, very specific here. The students are supposed to comprehend the question and they are supposed to answer to the question. They must be knowing that it's a double decomposition reaction, sodium chloride and barium sulfate are formed. But why barium sulfate is the right answer? This will be observed when you read the question again and again. Train the students to read the question. This is how barium sulfate is the right answer for this question. Analysis has to be done for every question given. Going to the second question. The color of the solution observed after 30 minutes of placing zinc metal to copper sulfate solution. There must be a specificity when it is written 30 minutes over here. They're asking the color of the solution and not of the solids zinc and copper. If you ask zinc and copper color, copper sulfate solution is blue in color, but we are not asking about the reactants because after 30 minutes indicates that this is a slow reaction. That's the reason we are giving enough time for the reaction to complete. Because this after 30 minutes indicates it's a slow reaction. If it is an instantaneous reaction, that doesn't happen with zinc, metal, and copper sulfate solution. It is not an instantaneous reaction. Then there is a colorless solution of zinc sulfate formed. Dirty green precipitate is not formed, and reddish brown precipitate is also not formed here. We are supposed to write the answer after 30 minutes of placing zinc metal in copper sulfate solution. It's going to be a colorless solution because zinc sulfate, zinc remaining high in the reactivity series, will react with copper sulfate. We all know that the higher element will replace the lower compound. That's how in the reactivity series zinc can react with copper sulfate, and there is a colorless solution coming up. Now question number 3, that is mild non-corrosive basic salt. Mild non-corrosive basic salt. That is, we know that the basic salts, all these are basic salts, calcium hydroxide, sodium chloride, sodium hydroxide. It should be a mild one, of which we see that all bicarbonates are mild and sodium bicarbonate is the only answer over here. The other 3 are distractors. Mild basic salt is what we have to ask the student to focus upon. The next one. On adding dilute sulfuric acid to a test tube containing a metal X, a colorless gas, see there is a specificity given here. A colorless gas is produced when a burning matchstick is brought near it. Which of the following correctly represents metal X? We are working again. Any reaction takes place only with the reactivity series. H2SO4, this is dilute sulfuric acid, has hydrogen in it. Therefore, The metal which is reacting must belong to high up the reactivity series. Copper and silver are lower the reactivity series, therefore there is no question of reacting with sulfuric acid. We can also see that sulfur reacting with sulfuric acid, sulfur dioxide gas is given out, and that gives a pungent smell. Therefore, it is given very clearly that when a burning mastic is brought near it, colored gas, it is put off with a pop sound. Therefore, sodium reacts with sulfuric acid high up in the series. Sodium reacts with sulfuric acid to give hydrogen as gas. Therefore, the student is supposed to be patient enough. The teacher has to train the student to be patient enough to read the question, understand it, do the comprehension part of it, and then go to the answer. Answers are, however, there. But do the children know about the reactivity series? Do the children know that hydrogen is a colorless gas and it is an odorless gas also? Sulfur dioxide has a pungent smell. For all these things come into picture. That's the reason there is a lot of time given. There is no hurry and time constraint. Then we can go to the next question. Which one of the following correctly represents sodium oxide? Sodium and oxygen are reacting with each other because sodium has one electron and it is in the outermost orbital and it is ready to lose its one electron, telling us that it is quite basic in nature, a strong base. And oxygen belonging to sixth group is ready to get in 2 electrons to complete its octet. Does the child know that octet configuration has to be completed? Does the child know that 281 is electronic configuration of sodium? Does the child know that sodium can react with oxygen? When the child knows all these concepts, he has to club up the concept and understand that C, that is 2 sodium ion, will react with oxygen ion to form sodium oxide. That is sodium positive, Na plus and O2 minus. Na is 1 positive and oxygen is 2 minus. It is not -2 as given in the question paper here. It has to be clearly mentioned that it is 2 minus. -2 is different from 2 minus in chemistry. Therefore, it has to be 2 minus over here. Na plus and O2 minus. Therefore, there is an interchange and the bond is formed. Therefore, it forms Na2O sodium oxide. Therefore, this bit is the correct answer for it. This is correct. Na plus 1, O2 minus, Na2O is the compound. An element with the atomic number dash will form a basic oxide. Basic oxide, group 1, group 2 are basic elements. Therefore, the electrons in the outermost orbital are supposed to be 1 and 2. That's how you are ending up with D as the right option. Because if there is 1 electron and it's easy to lose, that gives a basic oxide. This goes to it. 1 electron is easy to lose and it combines with oxygen. In fact, it is a sort of answer where if a child is able to attempt question number 5, he can also attempt question number 6. Right? Then the 7th question. An element M has 50% of the electrons filled in the 3rd shell as in the 2nd shell. Now it's quite clear here that the 3rd shell has 50% of electrons. Electrons start going into the 3rd shell only if the second shell is filled up with 8 electrons. Half of 8 is 4. You put 2, 8 and 4. That comes up to 14. 2, 8 is 10. 10 plus 4 is 14. The third shell is not complete. It's only half filled. That's why 18 is the wrong answer. 14 is the right answer. Now 2 and 8 form 10. That means third shell is 0. But students have to understand every distractor which is given over here. And these are biology questions. And question number 13 for the sample paper, which we find on CBSE website. An object is placed in front of a convex mirror. Its image is formed. Yeah, read the question again. Train the students to read the question. Object is placed in front of the convex mirror. There are two things here very important. Front of a convex mirror. For a convex mirror, the images are always formed behind the mirror. Therefore, the first one, in front of, is never the right answer. For D, behind the mirror and its position varies according to the object distance. You must have done the lab experiment for this. I recommend that teachers do show this convex mirror, concave mirror in the laboratory so that the students can understand how the right image is formed, what's focal length, because questions do appear in this concept. When a light enters the atmosphere, light is entering the atmosphere. It strikes on extremely fine particles which deflect the rays of light in all possible directions. Deflection, all possible directions. That goes to scattering of. The light is scattered now. Scattering of light. For dispersion of light, you require a medium. For dispersion of light, you require a prism. That's how scattering of light is the right answer. And these questions are biology questions. Question number 17 to 20 are assertion reasoning question. The first statement is independent of the second statement. Should both be read in combination? Yes. And let us check whether the first is the correct explanation of A or not, second one is the correct explanation of first one or not, or do they sync with each other? These two statements have to sync with each other. That's how, if they sync, A is the answer. If both are true independently, then B is the answer. One is true, one is false, then C and D are the answers. Specifically, if A is true and B is false, and assertion is false and reason is true, we have different options. Make the students familiar with every concept. There is no hurry for anything. The NEP will recommend students to be very patient enough. Now, rusting of iron is endothermic reaction. As the reaction is slow, the release of heat is barely evident. Release of heat is barely evident. Release of heat is endothermic reaction? No, it's exothermic reaction. Taking in of heat, entry of heat is endothermic reaction. Rusting of iron is endothermic in nature. As the reaction is slow, the release of heat is barely evident. Rusting doesn't take place instantaneously. It takes its own time. Therefore, the reaction is quite slow. That means the reasoning is correct. The rusting of iron is endothermic in nature. It takes up heat. It is never endothermic reaction. It is rusting of iron will give heat. If you touch a rusted iron, it is slightly warm than the normal iron without any rust. That warmth, you must be very observant in checking it. That's how there is a, release of heat. Therefore, A is false but R is true. That 17th one question, the answer is D. 17th one, the answer is D. Assertion is false, but the reason is true. Now the question number 18 is again a biology question. 19, a compass needle is placed near a current carrying wire. Please, teachers, show this experiment in the laboratory. The children will love it and they will remember the concept for long. A compass needle is placed near a current carrying wire. The deflection of the compass needle decreases when the magnitude of the current in the wire is increased. It should be the other way. The deflection of the compass needle will increase when the magnitude of current in the wire is increased. That means A is false again. The strength of a magnetic field at a point near the conductor increases on increasing the current. Yes, this is true. Strength of the magnetic field at a point near the conductor. If you bring that unit north pole towards the wire, it increases on increasing the current. This is how the questions are prepared. The students have to be mindful in giving their answers. It is not that just they read it, they memorize it and come. Content should be known, should be understood. But slowly the content will be built up to end either in evaluation or in creative mode. Bloom's taxonomy has to be followed for every question. The Bloom's taxonomy of question might stop at analysis level or evaluation level or create level, but competency-based questions have higher order thinking skills. That's how they will definitely end up with evaluation and creation. Remember, understand other questions which are in the bottom line. That is lower order thinking skills. They only consist of lots. Apply, analyze is a mediocre level. Evaluate and create are the higher order questions. This is how we have completed the first segment. Go through this video twice or thrice so that you will have an idea. As a teacher, you should have an idea of what is that question you have to give the students and explain to the student why the answer should be the option which you have chosen. Thanks for watching my video. This video will definitely add value to all those who are attempting the question papers, and the teachers. For you all, it's a hand holding so that you can train your student. Must try to be independent, must try to prepare many questions so that children enjoy writing the answers for those questions. Share this video to somebody else who you feel they might need it. This is definitely a value-added analysis sample question paper. You will learn many things. Make enough notes. Type in the comment box if at all you need any other suggestion from me. And subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.